Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we're going to talk about the big AEW name who is finally returning. The AEW versus WWE bidding war for the top free agent. Some backstage notes on AOP's WWE return. And finally, the latest on Kota Ibushi's Pro Wrestling Noah disaster. I'm Andy, this is Mike Raffone, and this is the news. We're going to kick this one off by talking about one of AEW's most unfortunate stars, at least when it comes to injury. Somebody who it feels like has been on the shelf for an eternity, and whenever they get off the shelf and hop down to the floor, they break their leg or something in the process and they're injured again and they have to go away. And it's like, hey, I really like this person. I want to see them more often. Injuries, please stop happening. That person's Pac, by the way. That's who I'm kind of ribbiting around here. He's on his way back to AEW, which is some good news indeed. This comes to us from Penta El Zero Miedo, who did a High Spots virtual signing this week and said that Pac is coming back to AEW pretty soon. Dave Meltzer has since corroborated this on Wrestling Observer Radio, confirming that yes, Pac is coming back. So that's good. He's not wrestled for AEW since the 26th of July episode of Dynamite, when he had a match with Gravity. The man Gravity Forgot versus Gravity. You remember that gag. It was pretty funny. But in August, it was reported that he'd suffered another blinking injury. Now, the nature of this injury wasn't disclosed, but it was enough to sideline Pac for a while, and he's been out ever since. Prior to this, he'd been out from March to parts of July with a nose injury. So he came back, he wrestled 3 matches, he got hurt again, and suddenly we had no Pac anymore. It was rubbish. Pac only wrestled a total of 6 matches last year, which sucks for a guy so talented. And hopefully this time when he comes back, ill fortune doesn't befall him so quickly, because I love the guy. I think he's one of the best pure in-ring wrestlers that AEW has had since day one, and I'd really like to see him have like a really strong, consistent run. Now, there's always been a couple of different things with Pac. The injuries, of course, have been an issue for him over the past year or so, but he's also a chap who likes to come back to his native Newcastle upon Tyne and hang out with his family quite a lot as well. So hey, cannot fault the man for that. Sounds like a pretty sweet gig, in all honesty. So shout outs to him. But yeah, I'm glad that he's on the comeback trail. I think that when you look back at his peak work, particularly against Kenny Omega, he's just one of the most impressive specimens that AEW has between the ropes, and that's a very impressive roster indeed. So happy, healthy Pac in 2024 is a fantastic addition to any promotion. I don't care if you're AEW, WWE, Dragon Gate, New Japan, whoever the hell. Obviously, he's not going to wrestle for all those companies. He's contracted to AEW, but yeah, love the guy. Anyway, let us know in the comment section below what you want to see Pac do when he comes back. Do you miss him? What's your favourite Pac match? Share some positive stuff, and yeah, that'd be nice. Nice thing to do on a Sunday, right, Mike? Exactly. Let's move over to our next story here. We're going to talk about Mercedes money because it's a day of the week. But she has been the conversation online this weekend. And if you're not as terminally online as I am, you might have missed some of the conversation going around about her, where she's going, what she's doing, what's happening. There've been a million different reports, obviously. Let's just try and summarize some of the new information that we haven't yet spoken about on this very channel. But PW Insider's Mike Johnson published a report over the weekend saying that communications had opened between WWE and Mercedes over a potential return. This was around Christmas week. Mercedes, of course, was Sasha Banks in WWE and was very successful. Now, sources claim that the change in WWE's ownership and Triple H coming in to run creative were amongst the factors that could set the stage for a potential return. They would love to have her back. They've made that very clear, and early discussions had happened. This was around Christmas week, so about 2-3 weeks ago. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reaffirmed his previous reporting, and he tweeted this. He was getting into it with all kinds of just complete psychopaths who don't understand that time is time happens and things change. But yeah, he reaffirmed via X/Twitter that Mercedes right now is expected to go to AEW. Remember a couple of weeks ago, he'd reported on the breakdown of talks between Mercedes and WWE. There's obviously a timeline there with the Mike Johnson stuff, which was around Christmas. Does all add up when you look at the terms used. In an update PW Insider, an AEW source contacted the outlet and said, if you don't think we're in the hunt, you are crazy. So there you go. Summarizing the Mercedes situation is not easy because it's a storm. You know, the funny thing about Mercedes is that loads of people will tell you they don't care, and then they'll spend all day talking about it on social media. So they clearly do. Look, Mercedes is like she's a trending topic in pro wrestling. Anytime the slightest thing happens with her, it seems she's going to cause a ripple wherever she goes. I do feel like she's heading towards AEW, just going by the strength of the reporting at the moment. And you know, Tony Khan probably needs a win with regards to free agents and everything else. With, you know, like Julia probably going to WWE. I know AEW didn't approach her reportedly, which is insane to me. Andrade, of course, leaving AEW, going back to WWE, all of this stuff. They could use a win in the free agents pool, my opinion, and Mercedes is a huge win. As Sasha Banks, she was a proven draw for WWE time and time again, and getting away from the boring business stuff, she's also great. So, one of my favorite wrestlers in the entire world. I think one of the best wrestlers on the planet. She'd be a benefit wherever she lands, and if AEW gets her, that's a sensational pickup for the company, and I'd be very excited to see what she does there. I think she's brilliant. Good. Thumbs up. Right, let's talk about the AOP for a little bit now. They returned to WWE on SmackDown this week, flanked by their old manager, Paul Ellering. He's back on the scene as well. They were introduced by Karrion Kross and Scarlett to beat the crap out of Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. There was a tease a couple of weeks ago, the vignette where their silhouettes were there, like one of our thumbnails. But this has been reported for ages and ages and ages that they were coming back. Since the dawn of time, since I had no grey hair in my beard, in fact, but Fightful Select just kind of adding to this over the weekend, noting that AOP and Paul Ellering have been signed for well over a year to WWE, and that Ellering being a part of their presentation was important to them. So Akam and Rezar going, hey WWE, we want Paul Ellering back, and why wouldn't they? Their most successful years in WWE came with the former LOD manager by their side in NXT. He was kind of jettisoned once they made it to the main roster, but their NXT run, as was often the case back then, was better than their main roster run, I think. You know, they haven't been in WWE since March 2020. It's almost 4 years. It's crazy to think of. They did that strange wrestling show that they booked here in England where it was going to be headlined by Alistair Overeem versus Braun Strowman and Nia Jax versus Lana, and then they sold no tickets. It might have not been real. I don't know what the heck was going on there. But look, I've always found the AOP to be a fun, chaotic presence. They're a bit green, but that kind of adds to the fun. To me, they're a bit all over the place. But I love me a big boy powerhouse tag team. I wish them all the best. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do now they're back in WWE. Speaking of people who won't be doing anything for a while, Kota Ibushi, let's give you a bit of an update on him. We spoke about his situation earlier in the week. If you missed that video, Cliff Notes version, Kota wrestled for Noah, Pro Wrestling Noah, in Japan on the 2nd of January. Inexplicably went 33 minutes against Naomichi Marufuji. It was the worst match I've seen all year. I know the year's only 7 days old, but it was a disaster. He went into it injured. He came out of it even more injured. He couldn't do anything in that match. It was sad. For someone who's watched this guy for years and years and years, it was a depressing situation. But there's been some new developments in regards to this. On Twitter, Ibushi has confirmed that his left ankle is a mess, so he's getting surgery. He said he has lots of things left to do on his wrestling contract. Remember, he is contracted to AEW. He's fully signed now. And he wants to still do those things, and he isn't thinking too darkly about his future. But he has other things to worry about as well, like taking care of his mother. So fair play. Noah, the company he wrestled for, they released a statement stating that Ibushi has been diagnosed, good luck with this, myself, I'm sorry, a right tibiofibular ligament tear and a right ankle lateral ligament complex injury. Bad stuff has happened to this man's joints. Ibushi also claimed on Twitter as well that he'd been scammed by a clinic before, a medical clinic before the Noah match. So cheesy peeps. This poor guy, man, he's his own worst enemy in a lot of ways. because he shouldn't have wrestled that Marufuji match. And look, I hate safety police stuff. I really love coming on here and trying to tell people what they should and shouldn't do with their bodies. I think that's whack. And like 99 times out of 100, if you do it, you're just being corny and lame. But in this case, it really is like an exceptional circumstance. He's not been the same wrestler since he came back last year. That's been pretty abundantly clear, but this was a whole new level. The guy is banged up to hell. I don't think Noah should have let him wrestle on the 2nd of January. I think someone on that medical staff should have went, I'm sorry, man, you can't do this. I think that even in the ring, they shouldn't have gone 33 minutes. They maybe should have gone, let's cut this one short. But hey, look, all of that stuff has happened now. I just hope that Kota Ibushi takes the time he needs, takes like a year, whatever he needs to properly heal, because he never truly healed from those injuries he picked up that effectively came at the end of his New Japan career. I hope that someone puts an arm over his shoulder and goes, hey buddy, you're not doing this until you're fixed up. I hope that he has the right support system around him, because it's going to be a long recovery by the sounds of things, and I hope that he's able to just get happy and healthy again. I don't even need to see him wrestle again. He's given me enough great stuff over the years. Just get healthy, man, and look after yourself. Like this, it just makes me sad, honestly. But we're going to move on to our Twitter questions for the day. Thank you to everyone who sent them in this very morning. I didn't know Twitter was so engaged on a Sunday morning. You'll love to see it. The first question, I love this one, comes from James Robinson, who asks, what's your stop, start, continue for WWE and AEW in 2024? So, someone you want them to stop, someone you want them to start, and someone you want them to keep doing. Got a few here for each company. For WWE, hey, let's start with a big one. How about we stop pretending that being paid $50 million a pop by a murderous regime as part of a program that is designed to rehabilitate that murderous regime's image is anything but propaganda. How about we stop doing that? That'd be a really nice thing to do for the biggest company in wrestling in 2024. Start. What do we want to start doing in WWE? I want the CM Punk singles program, baby. Let's cook that up immediately. I know it's probably going to be Seth. I know he hasn't been around much so far, Punk. I know it's been like a bit of a slow burn, but I'm ready for that man to get his teeth stuck into something. Not literally. God, that's a terrible illusion, giving Kenny Omega's arm after the backstage fight in AEW, allegedly. But no, I'm ready for CM Punk to start showing some fangs. I'm ready for him to, fangs with an F, by the way. So, you cannot stop with these biting illusions. I'm sorry. But I need him to start being a bit vicious. I need him to become spiteful and mean and nasty on that microphone. That's the CM Punk character I like and I enjoy. Let's get him back in. It'll be a hell of a lot of time. Hell of a lot of time. Good, I'm a mess. And what do I want to see them continue doing? How about building these PLEs up? How about getting these B-level shows to a level where they continue to feel as big as some of the A-level shows? I'm talking Backlash last year, Money in the Bank last year. The way they've elevated some of their B-level shows has been super impressive, and they look set to continue doing that in 2024 with things like going to Australia for Elimination Chamber and going to Berlin, going to Lyon. It's awesome. I love that they're elevating these shows and making them feel like more of an occasion. I hope they continue doing them. Now, AEW, what should they stop doing? Featuring Ric Flair, for the love of God. I mean, ideally now, but after Revolution, there's no real good reason to keep this guy here. Get out of here. You're sick and gross and old and I don't want it. What should they start doing? Women's Continental Classic. It's a no-brainer. This division is gigantic now. So many great wrestlers here. You can sit in fantasy draft brackets, and if you do that, 12 names, you're going to leave out like another 12 great people. The talent-wise, they absolutely could pull this off like tomorrow if they wanted to, particularly with Deonna coming in, with Mercedes maybe coming in, with Jamie Hayter potentially coming back from injury. It's a stacked division, talent-wise. They've got to figure this out. Figure this out, Tony Khan. I want to see it, in the words of Nigel McGuinness. He said that once. I don't know. And something AEW should continue doing is building Swerve versus Hangman up as a generational company-defining rivalry, destined to do this thing forever. I know a lot of people were like looking at this week's episode of Dynamite and going, oh, that's a bit soon, but maybe it is for like a quick reprisal. But this is a rivalry that should never end, in my opinion. This should be one of these things that you can revisit whenever the hell you want for years and years and years. You can come back to it because they're dynamite together. gee whiz, the death match was completely insane. One of the best violent plunder matches AEW has ever done. I think these guys are wonderful together, and I think that they are destined to do it forever. Next question today comes from, who does it come from? Mark Richardson, who asks, with SmackDown effectively taking 4 of its top stars out of the Rumble for championship matches, how do you think this will affect the Rumble match itself? So of course, after the shenanigans on this week's show, we have AJ Styles, LA Knight and Randy Orton seemingly challenge Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Galactic Championship at the Rumble 4-way, whatever we're going to do. And that would presumably remove those names from the Rumble. They're all big names. They're all maybe like outside bets to win. Maybe Randy's not such an outside bet at the moment. But yeah, I think it's good. I think it's interesting. It opens up more spots for surprises. It opens up more spots for call-ups, returns, whatever you want to do. And it's not like the Rumble's going to be short on star power without those names. You've still got CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, loads and loads more you can sit here and rattle off till the cows come home. I'm all in favor of this. I think that while those are big names, I wouldn't necessarily have any of them win, as in Orton, Knight and Styles. I think it opens the door and it gives more opportunities to people like Andrade, who could return in the Rumble with a spot. It's just cool. It's good to see the spread out in that way, I guess. And our final question of the day comes from DeAndreas Hayes, who would like to know, do you see Randy Orton winning the Fatal 4-way that we've just spoken about and facing Cody at Mania? So I've seen a few people ask this and talk about this. Maybe Randy wins the belt and then he faces Cody, legacy, and then Roman is free to face The Rock. Solves a couple problems on a surface level, right? It does. I don't think it's something I would want to book myself. I could see it happening, but at the moment, I think the likeliest outcome is probably Roman versus The Rock and Cody versus Roman. 2 nights, Mania, whatever order you want to do them in. You can kind of figure that out yourself. But for me, Roman's title should be lost one-on-one, man-on-man, clean, fair, square. A proper heel putting a baby face over. That's how you get the maximum rub. That's how you end a long, thousands days title reign on the most effective note, by putting the next guy over strong. I don't think that Randy Orton pinning someone in a 4-way does that. I think that the cleanest is the best option in this case. I'm looking forward to seeing all that transpires in the build to Mania. I know a lot of people that watch the channel are very high on Rock versus Reigns instead of Cody finishing the story at Mania. So maybe WWE can have their cake and eat it. Do both of them. But hey, look, thanks for joining me for this Sunday news video. If you liked this one, you can check out this one. I'll see you later.